For weeks, we saw Danhausen getting the best of Miz. We've seen Danhausen beat Miz rather quickly. We just saw the Miz lose to Danhausen and Minihausen. But your U.S. champion, Trick Williams, struggles against the Miz. What's up, everybody? Here for my Smackdown review this week, and gonna be a quick one this week because Papa is tired and doesn't have a lot of time. So some of my ratings are just gonna be a rating without probably too deep of an explanation. But there are a few things that I do want to talk about from the show. Not necessarily good things. I don't feel like the show was terrible. We didn't have a gingerbread man. There wasn't a whole lot of Danhausen shenanigans, but everything that did happen on this show kind of seemed very much ho-hum. It was one of those episodes that were kind of just there. So we are going to start with the Trick Williams promo, of course, because they are in South Carolina, where he went to school and the University of South Carolina. But he was interrupted by The Miz and Kit Wilson. And some of the things The Miz said during this promo made me scratch my head because he called SmackDown basically becoming Sesame Street, which is in reference to the Gingerbread Man, in reference to Danhausen, in reference to the mascot that Trick had with him in this episode. And I don't know if that was The Miz's way of putting down Trick Williams and what he might be making this show with the Gingerbread Man and all of these costumes. Or I don't know if this was the WWE being tongue-in-cheek and this is their reference to some of us complaining about the show kind of being like Sesame Street lately. Either way, this opening segment for Trick Williams was not my favorite thing to see. The promos were fine. I thought both Miz and Trick did fine here. And Lil Yachty too. So I gave the actual promo segment here a 1. The match, however, between Trick and The Miz just had a complete lack of logic. And this is the lack of logic that I hate with modern wrestling. Because for weeks, we saw Danhausen getting the best of Miz. We've seen Danhausen beat Miz rather quickly. We just saw The Miz lose to Danhausen and Minihausen. But your U.S. champion, Trick Williams, struggles against The Miz. It had to be a longer 11-ish minute match. I don't like that. I don't think that's great for Trick. I don't think Trick came out of this looking good. I think the only thing maybe this opening segment of SmackDown and this opening match of SmackDown accomplished is that Trick is definitely a babyface now. After the feud with Sami Zayn, Trick is a babyface. But I gave this match a -1 because I don't think Trick should be struggling against The Miz when we've seen for weeks The Miz suck. So how does that really help Trick? And I get they probably just wanted to use up some TV time because SmackDown is so damn long, but I don't like that. And I'm seeing these little things with Trick that I question. And I've been questioning since I've been reviewing more because I think Trick can be a very big deal. And I think he's very popular. He's very over with the wrestling fans. But it's just that. It's just the wrestling fans. And right now, the ratings for wrestling are down. Ticket sales are plummeting. And I think it is a missed opportunity to keep Trick Williams being a cool character that can actually get over in pop culture. I saw him do a lot of interviews for WrestleMania this year, and I thought he knocked him out of the park. But the cookie cutter shit that they're putting him in, I don't think is great for him in the long run to be a massive star. And I will continue to feel that way. Let's move on to Carmelo Hayes in the back being interviewed. He's been gone a month, but he's here. But he was interrupted by Ricky Saints. Carmelo is seeing all the new people up on SmackDown. Mallow talked about how the place has a way of humbling people, and it might happen to Ricky here. So that set up a match between these two. I thought this segment was fine. Like a lot of stuff in this episode, it was just that, just fine. I gave it a 1 on the fire scale. One of the better parts of the night was Sami Zayn. First, he was talking to Nick Aldis. He wants a rematch for the U.S. title. Aldis tells Sami Zayn that he has to earn that shot at the title again. And Zayn is talking about how his ride or die fans haven't forgotten him and that he hasn't forgotten who he is. But what I got out of this segment is that Zayn is still saying he's the same guy. But Rey Fenix came up and talked to him saying that Sami Zayn is unrecognizable. So for what I'm getting from here, we have a lot of frustration from Sami. And we've clearly seen him become a little more heelless over these past few weeks or more. But he hasn't totally embraced it yet. I always think Sami Zayn does a really good job at being a heel. What has happened a lot in his career is that he starts to just tread water. He starts to go nowhere, and then they turn him heel. He knocks it out of the park because he can be very entertaining, almost, very, dare I say, method acting. Not necessarily that impressive, but it is very methodical when he becomes a heel. There is definitely always a storyline and character arcs, and I think we're already seeing that here, and I appreciate that. And then eventually his heel gimmick will get over, and then he'll be a babyface again and people will love him. That's what I foresee in the future at some point. But this segment got a 2 on the fire scale. I think my highest rating of the night. Brie Bella and Paige versus Julia and Kiana James was next. It was one of those basic tag matches where the heels are in control until there is a hot tag. I didn't love it. The match was pretty heatless and pretty boring. Kind of just there. Gave it a 0. Cody Rhodes was out next, wanting his contract segment with Gunther. And Gunther came out. Gunther is not really making sense to me right now as a character. He came to SmackDown because he wanted this title shot, but he refuses to sign the contract. I am not really understanding the logic there. Just because he was promised the match, he thinks he doesn't have to sign the contract. It made for somewhat entertaining when Royce Keyes ended up interrupting, of all people, saying that if Gunther isn't going to sign the contract, then he is. But when Royce Keyes got to the ring ready to sign the contract with Cody Rhodes, that's when Gunther went to the ring to stop him. That's when Nick Aldis came out, made a match for the main event of the show where the winner would be the number 1 contender to face Cody. Interesting to see Royce Keyes in this spot, honestly. But the lack of logic from Gunther here is nonsensical, so I couldn't really hype this segment too much. I gave it a 1 on the fire scale. We had a backstage segment of Solo Sikoa with Tama Tonga and Tala Tonga because Tama needs to take out Damian Priest tonight because I guess R-Truth is already injured and not able to compete, so they want to take out the other tag team champion as well. When Tala and Solo left, they've been doing this story for a while now with Shinsuke Nakamura trying to get Tama Tonga to leave the MFTs. This was more of that here, but then Tala Tonga attacked Nakamura, really fucked up his silk press hair, and then put him through a table. I'm not feeling this storyline with Shinsuke because it's happening too slow. You can only take a storyline that doesn't get a lot of airtime so seriously, and it becomes less entertaining the more it goes along because it feels like it's going nowhere. It wasn't bad though, but I gave it a 0. Carmelo Hayes versus Ricky Saints. The match was fine. The story here was really the ending of the match where Ricky tried to beat Malo with his feet on the ropes, but the referee saw it. Carmelo then rolled him up, put his feet on the ropes. The referee didn't see it, so Carmelo got one over on Ricky Saints. Ricky Saints losing again. The match was good enough to get a 1 from me on the fire scale. I think Carmelo needed to win here. I think they're going to have a hard time making Ricky Saints matter. But honestly, it feels like Ricky Saints is getting the Carmelo treatment. When Carmelo first came up to the main roster, he just was having more losses than anything. Next up was a segment with Royce Keyes and R-Truth talking. Truth thanked Royce Keyes for helping them out with the MFTs last week. Then we had more of the same from Damian Priest and R-Truth, where Damian Priest says R-Truth can't come to the ring this week like he did last week to help, even though Damian Priest didn't want him to, because R-Truth is hurt now. My problem with this segment is, like, I don't care about these two as tag team champions, and this feud with the MFT isn't making me care about them more as tag team champions. So I gave it a -1. We then had our Danhausen segment where he's still with his cloning machine, and he made mini clones. Now he wants to make a big clone, and we see he has some sort of body that is a big body willed into his room. This scares me because I don't know what nonsense this is going to be. I put this rating on a 0 because it was fine. It was kind of just there. My first thought when he said he's going to bring someone back from the dead is like, are we really about to see Undertaker in Danhausen face paint? I feel like it's going to be some old-time wrestler in face paint. Maybe someone like Braun Strowman in face paint. He's on a USA show of his own. Maybe he will have a one-off as a Danhausen's partner in something. It's going to be something like that. We continue to be having these look-alike stories for Danhausen because he really is the modern-day Doink the Clown. Damian Priest versus Tama Tonga. The crowd was dead by this point in the night, honestly. Priest ended up winning. The match kind of blew. Afterwards, Tama Tonga arrived with the boot to the face on Damian. Solo joined in on the beatdown. There's no R-Truth this week to make the save. There's no Royce Keyes because he has a match later. So MFT's getting the best of one half of the tag team champions this week. But I didn't care, so it got a 0 from me. We had another backstage segment of Sami Zayn complaining to somebody. It's Johnny Gargano who just lays there and says nothing and just stares off into nothing. Candice LeRae came and complained about Gargano, who was saying her husband's entitled and does nothing but lie around right now. And Sami Zayn stayed with Gargano after, trying to get Gargano to remember who he is. Don't let anybody take that away from you, because that's what Sami Zayn is telling himself in this current storyline as he probably continues to descend into being a heel again. It gets a 1 from me on the fire scale, mostly from the work of Sami Zayn. Quickly, I'm going to really get through the rest of this. The former WWE Women's Champion, Jade Cargil, came out with Michin and B-Fab. Jade was talking about, she said something in her promo that I was like, why? She said, when my music hits, you all go quiet. And I'm like, should you really point out a lack of pop? But she was interrupted by Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Jade called them the backup dancers for Rhea Ripley, which did make me laugh a little bit. Alexa threw shots at Michin and B-Fab for being Jade's backup dancers. It was a fine enough little segment. I think Jade and her group needs to have more stuff like this. Gave it a 1 on the fire scale. The match, however, got a 0 from me, which was Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Michin and B-Fab. It ended in a disqualification, which that's the part of the match I'm fine with. I don't think Michin and B-Fab should have lost this match because they need to establish themselves more if we're going to take Jade and that group seriously. So I'm glad they didn't lose clean, but the match was boring, much like most of this entire episode of SmackDown. Afterwards, Charlotte wanted to fight Jade. Jade didn't want that. I think that could be good for Jade to work with Charlotte. It would be way better for her than working with Rhea, who clearly did not want to work with Jade all this time. The main event was last. The number 1 contendership for the WWE Championship on the line. So the result was a foregone conclusion. So that was my main problem with this match. It was Gunther versus Royce Keyes. What I appreciated from this match is that Solo Sikoa ended up watching from ringside. So they're continuing the Royce Keyes and MFT storyline. In the end, when the ref got knocked out, Solo slid Keyes a steel chair, told Keyes to use it. He threw down the chair, though, was distracted by Solo. Gunther hit him from behind. Gunther ends up getting the win. He will be going on to face Cody Rhodes Our then babyface champion then came out to grab the heel from behind and hit a crossroads on him. And Cody welcomed Gunther to SmackDown. I still give absolutely zero fucks about the Gunther and Cody Rhodes match. My Cody Rhodes fatigue has not gone away. But the part of the match I did like is that the Royce Keyes and Solo stuff got some time at the end. That meant that we actually had a story within this match that made more sense than Gunther not wanting to sign the contract to face Cody Rhodes, which is the whole reason he came to SmackDown in the first place. Gave the match a 1 on the fire scale. Overall, though, after adding it all up, it's kind of another 0 show for me. If I round it, it's actually more of like a 0.5, which is slightly better than recent weeks for me with SmackDown. Probably because we didn't have this over-the-top goofy shit that has been irking me. But SmackDown is not an easy show to watch. And the fact that it's so long doesn't help. I read that SmackDown's going back to 2 hours. I hope that's true. Maybe that will tighten up the show a bit. At least I hope so.